Screamer, you were born down in Fort Smith?
What, honey?
Were you born in Fort Smith?
I was born out of Van Buren. We weren't. My mother never went to a doctor. The babies were born at home.
So you guys lived in Van Buren or outside of Van Buren?
Outside of Van Buren, east of. I have to think because I'm turned around out here from what I am back there. East. Yeah, east of Van Buren.
Was there a town name or a that you were part of? Or?
Kibler was the closest little town. It was just a real small town.
So you guys were on the outskirts or something, or?
Well, no, there was just no town there. It was just country. We raised all the food we ate practically. We had 40 acres is what we had in our where we lived, and we raised all kinds of stuff on it.
Kibler, huh? I don't remember ever hearing that. I always thought it was just Fort Smith.
Well, no, Fort Smith is one of the bigger towns. There's no great big huge towns like San Francisco up back there in Arkansas.
Right.
I think the Little Rock is the capital. I think it's the biggest town, and then Fort Smith is the next biggest.
So did you guys raise cotton? Did you raise?
No, we raised actually one of our crops that we sold was strawberries. We always raised a lot of strawberries, and then I don't know for sure whether my dad rented some down what they call the bottoms, which is right down on the river, Arkansas River. And we had beans down there that he took care of it. We always picked the beans, to sell.
Right. So you had 40 acres, and that supplied enough for you guys as a family, as well as everything else that you were selling. I mean, that provided a living, or?
Well, basically, we sold the strawberries, and that's about the only thing. And then these beans that he raised down on the bottoms, he sold those. But I'm not sure whether he did it on shares or something with somebody else, or whether I don't think he owned the land there.
Oh, okay.
But they never talked about anything like that in front of kids. I don't know.
Right.
And so I don't.
Well, you say bottoms, was that
right down
on the river?
Yeah. And the Arkansas River is one of the big rivers back there, of course. It's basically what we sold, but we raised all kinds of. We raised sweet potatoes and regular potatoes and popcorn and peanuts and.
So just a little of everything. Well, how did you handle labor? Did he hire out?
Yeah. Granny would work in you either had a shed or a little building or something where you crated the strawberries, and you picked them in a certain size little
Crates.
Little baskets or and you had crates that would hold 2 of them, or crates would hold 4 or 6 of those boxes. If you're if you're old enough and big enough, you can hold one of the big ones and pick faster and make more money to do it.
Right.
And they would, when they got those baskets filled up, they would go to the little house where Granny was, and she would give them tickets for how many boxes they picked.
Okay. So they'd pick their own. People would pick their own then?
No, these were the ones we were
selling. These are the laborers.
The labor, yeah. He paid them so much for picking them.
Okay.
And they got paid by how many of those little boxes they picked.
So they'd bring the boxes in, Granny would give them a ticket, and then they'd cash out their tickets.
In the evening, when they got through picking for the day, and they had to be picked at least every other day,
Did you guys have, I remember out west we always had problems with birds and stuff eating them. Did you have problems with that? Or?
Well, I don't remember that we did. We could have. There's all kinds of birds. We had a lot of problems with crows and some of the stuff, but I don't remember them being in the berries. But they could have been. That kind of stuff you forget. But,
well, did you guys have any kind of pest control? Did you use a scarecrow? Or?
Well, my brother, Uncle Calvin, used to get up early in the morning and go out to the field with a shotgun to scare them away from the whatever they were eating.
Huh.
We raised corn. We raised corn for the animals, and we raised the corn to eat.
What kind of animals did you run?
Well, we always had chickens and then 1 or 2 milk cows. And we had, when I was real small, we had horses, but when we was older, we had mules. I don't know what happened.
You use those to plow with, and you use them to plow with?
Yeah. I used to, quite a lot of the time Uncle Calvin was, the time he was 10 years old, he was out plowing with these big heavy plows, There's one that they call, I don't know, that turns the ground way over, you know, to get it.
Right.
Yeah, and he didn't like to go by himself, and so I went and sat at the end of one row. And when we came back to the end, well, he could see me there to talk a little bit, of, you know, a little company for him. And I just barely remember it. I was just a little, maybe it's Amaya, maybe her age, maybe before. I don't even remember for sure when I started doing that with him. And
so you would wait at the end of the row. He'd turn a row, come back, turn a row on the way back, and then stop for a few minutes. And
well, no, he usually, by the time he got turned around, it was time to, you know, he just kept going. But I was there to be somebody with him. He didn't like to be by himself. I remember one time he had to go down into the bottoms to do some plowing or something. It was on my birthday, and Granny told me that she wanted me to go with him. He wanted somebody to go, and of course it was always me that went with him. I don't think Aunt Verna or Aunt Eunice ever did that. And she told me that she'd make me a pumpkin pie for my birthday when I had it made for me when I got back from or for the family, you know, it wasn't just for me. And
so how much older is he than you?
Uncle Calvin?
Right.
From March till August, he's 5 years plus
That much.
Yeah, a few months, a little over 5 months. And then Aunt Eunice is next in age.
Okay.
She's not quite 3 years older than me.
And then you, and then Fern?
I'm 16 months older than Aunt Fern.
Wow.
And then Aunt Fern is 7 years older than Uncle Bill.
Okay, so Uncle Bill's as the baby.
Yeah. No, Uncle Russell.
Uncle Russell.
Uncle Bill and Uncle Russell are they're not quite 2 years apart.
Okay.
Yeah. And
now Bill lives in Vancouver, Washington. Russell lives in Oregon.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to remember who's who. So I always forget how many brothers and sisters you had. So.
Well, there was 3 girls and 3 boys in my family. Yeah.
And as of right now, everybody's still alive except for Uncle Calvin.
Yeah. Yeah.